Hello friend, to keep it very simple, how to handle multiple response frequency and crosstab using SPSS. To keep it very simple, I want to show you a questionnaire. This questionnaire has 7 categories, but each of the categories have 5 questions that have been used to evaluate each of this session. For instance, the capital project fund, there were 5 questions here that were used to evaluate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they actually used Likert scale to measure it, as in strongly agree, disagree, and all of that. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 questions were used to measure each of them. Now, when we say multiple response, you can actually find the frequency for each of these, 1, 2, each of them. You can get frequency. But what if we're interested in getting an aggregate frequency for this session and for each of them? How do we handle it? That's exactly what I want to show you here in the next few minutes. All right, so let me pull up that data. This is actually the data set I used in illustrating reliability test. If you have not seen that on reliability test, please check it up. So these are the responses we got. Okay, and so we want to look at this group of CPF 1 to 5 and then RF 1 to 5 all the way to the last one in terms of multiple response. The normal frequency we do is to click your analysis and then frequency. You click frequency here, okay, and then you may want to view the variable names. So I can select this first badge and put it. So this gives me frequency for each of the components, but that is not the interest here. The interest here is that we used 5 questions to evaluate views of respondents on a particular section of the questionnaire. These are the frequency, but we want to get something that is aggregate. So how do we do that? We go back to our data set, you click analyze, and then you come here, you click on multiple response. Okay, you are seeing this because I had done something before that okay, so to look at that, all you need to do is to go to frequency. Under frequency, you see multiple response, then define variable set. If you click on this define variable set, it gives you a dialog box. In this dialog box, permit me to also view the variable name by right clicking and say display variable name. You see the variable names here. Okay, so let me select the first one. I want to make a group so that it becomes like one variable. I click here to put it in variables in sets, and this is the categorical data, ranging from maybe A and B, 1 or 2, 1 to 5 or thereabouts. So since it's categorical data, I'll click categorical data saying it ranges from 1 up to 5. All right, okay, then the variable name, let me give you that name, CP, is that? Yeah, CPF. Okay, then the label, I could use the full meaning, and the full name is what we have here, capital fund, as a variable, the label, and I'll put it. Now when I do it, this is activated. I'll do another one and show you at what point this gets activated. So I add it here. It has become a variable on its own. Let me do the next one. Okay, now the arrow, this is a reserve fund. Okay, you select 1 to 5, all of them that are in that category, you keep it here. Now you see there's nothing activated here. Okay, so I click category. Okay, let's put the name reserve fund. Okay, and then we put that name, we pick it from there and put it as label reserve fund. Okay, now this is not activated until we specify here the category ranging from 1 to 5 and say enter. So that is it. Okay, we can do that for all of them, but for one of them I'm not going to repeat for all of them. Let me just do for another one. Okay, so that we have 3 variables, we run out that way. Okay, category 1 running till 5, and then this is ACF. Okay, and what is ACF in our variable? That's administrative cost fund. Okay, this administrative cost fund, we'll click, we'll put it there and add it. So these are the variables that they were a group of variables, but each of them has been shrinked or pulled together to become, one variable. Now I can close this and go back to my analyze and then select the multiple response. This is activated now, so I can do the frequency for each of them. For instance, the CPF, I click here and say give me the frequency. So it gives me a frequency that is a summary of the 5 questions that were used to evaluate the response of the respondent on a particular set of interest, and that interest is capital project fund. This capital project fund has there's an error here, and that will be traced quickly. Okay, strongly agree and strongly disagree, there's something that went wrong here, but I'll show you how to trace that. So it is part of the learning process. So capital project fund, okay, is we use 5 questions. So those 5 questions were put together. This was what it were. We had to evaluate them individually, but it's not giving us the true picture of trying to say holistically what is the response of all the respondents concerning that particular interest. Okay, so let's trace where that error is coming from. We go to our data. All right, we go to variable, view variable, and then we see where we defined this. Beautiful. You see there is agree, strongly disagree, disagree, slightly agree, there is agree, and then strongly agree here. So this and this, okay, so it's not a problem. This is slightly agree and this is strongly agree, so that's fine. So let's check that result again. All right, so you see it's not really an error. This is slightly agree and this is strongly agree. So that is it. We can also get frequency for the other 2 variables. We go to analyze, frequency. Okay, we put this one. Okay, let's return this since we have got the frequency. Okay, so beautiful. So that's basically how to do handle multiple response in terms of frequency. Okay, so this is like the summary of their view about the reserve fund, and then their view about administrative cost fund. That's the summary of their view. All right, and the next other thing you can do with this kind of thing is to check who the person who said, for instance, let's look at the first one. The first one has to do with capital project fund. This capital project fund, somebody who said capital project fund is good, or I strongly agree with that. What is the person's response about reserve fund? So to do that, you do what we call cross-tab. Okay, so you go to the same frequency and then multiple response. You see cross-tab. Now see where we have it, this multiple response set. So capital project fund, I put it in row. It depends on how you want to do it. And then reserve fund, or let me use administrative fund, I'll put it in column, because I want to check those who say capital project fund, I strongly agree with it, and those who said I also strongly agree with administrative capital fund, administrative cost fund. What is the variance? What's the distribution? Okay, so I click OK here. It gives me that cross tab. All right, so these are people who said for capital project fund, I strongly agree, you know, and I see that many of them did not in any way strongly disagree with capital project fund. Many of them who strongly agree with capital project fund that is performing well also strongly agree that administrative cost fund is also doing well. So this is what the tab tries to help us achieve, looking at it, you know, in terms of the person who their response on this and their response on the other variable. All right, thank you very much for giving audience to this. I want to wish you the very, very best in your research as you keep adding value to your research scale. In case you've not subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe. Thank you and God bless you. Cheers.